Hello.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Sorry, I wasn't mute.
Okay, 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay. So, Amrita, I have your profile in front of me. I think better if you can explain me about your work experience and what are the roles and responsibilities you're performing in your current project.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking. My name is Amarjit. I'm having 7 plus years of experience. Currently, I'm working for this Java platform. So technology which I use like Java with SP. Sorry, Java with a Spring Boot, Microservices, Spring Cloud component as a backend. Also, I have a good experience in a front end like uh, front
Okay.
front end is Angular 9. Also, like the database, I have Mongo and Oracle. Coming for the AWS, most of the services I use like AWS, like SNS, SMS, EC2 instance, Elastic Beanstalk, and Lambda expressions and all, Lambda functions and all. So there are multiple AWS cloud services I used, and also I have a good experience in the DevOps cloud, like whatever the tools we use, like Apache Maven, Jenkins, Jira, GitHub, ELK, Splunk, and all. So these all are the technology which stack which I worked on. My experience coming for the domain, I worked on different domain like banking, telecom, e-commerce, and health. The current project which I worked before that based on e-commerce and health insurance. So there we migrated the application from Java to Spring Boot microservice architecture. So the applications was portal where we can manage the insurance, like if any customer will take any type of insurance, then how internally we will process that, and how we need to calculate the price of insurance, how we will trigger, we'll send the SMS notifications or email alert for the next premiums and all. So we have a multiple microservices which need to be communicated, that will be happen for the REST template or maybe some of the Kafka implementation.
What kind of role you have performed in that?
Sorry.
What roles and responsibility you have performed from the development point? What
Yeah.
key role you have played in this project?
Sure. So yeah, so coming for that, so that was the project overview, and my role and responsibility here in this project, we are working for Agile. So whatever the sprint task will be defined, we need to work. So basically, we need to develop a microservice-based applications. So my role and responsibility here to develop a API which need to be communicated from one service to another services. Also, we'll have some of the new services which has been integrated for the features. We need to create a service business logic, so that business logic will happen to communicate or add the functionality for the particular instance or particular services. Apart from this, also we have involved in the development and all. So while we have developed the application, then we will go for the deployment. So the deployment will happen in the different environment. So there we will available and check all the scenarios, like what are the things as we have developed that is proper or not, what are the configuration logs and security validations is proper or not before deployment in production. So that type of things we are doing on daily basis.
I learned for Java, Spring Boot, and Spring MVC. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, in core Java, right, we are using hash map, correct?
Yes.
So can you explain me like how the hash map internally works?
Hashmap internally, like while we use hashmap, then inside, based on the key and value, data will be stored. So once you store the data based on key and value, so internally hashmap will have a create a bucket. The bucket size will be start from 0 to 15, that is called 16 size. So how they will insert? So there will be index 1, 0 to 15 there. Based on that, internally we have a hash code and equals method will be called. So suppose if you inserted two data, so we'll have a same key and value is a different. So in that cases, the same hash code maybe will be generated. So while we used hash code, to compiler will confuse like where in which index we have to insert. So based on that, we have a equals method also overridden. So that equals method will check the content. If the same key is there but content is different, so that will be stored in the different same index of next node, that is called linky node.
Okay. So now suppose I'm creating a hash map,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
with key as an integer and value also as an integer.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now in that hash map, I'm adding first value, hash map object dot put
Mhm.
1 comma
Okay.
2.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
1 comma 2.
Okay.
Second value I'm adding m dot put my whatever the object
Mhm.
as 2 comma in double quote str.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
and now I'm trying to compile this program.
Mhm.
What will happen?
There will be some compiler exceptions. Compiler.
You want me to explain again?
No,
You
I
want me to explain again?
understand this one. First will be fine because you have a integer key and value. So
Your voice is breaking. Hello,
now,
Amarjit.
now is fine.
Your voice is breaking.
Now is fine.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 1 minute. Can you move little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I think some network issue at your end.
now is fine. Hello. Now is fine.
Not yet.
Okay. Just a minute.
Uh, okay.
Okay. Uh, can you
Okay.
confirm? Okay.
Have you understood my question?
Yeah. I understood.
Hello.
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Hello.
Just a minute.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Now it's fine. Sandeep. Now it's fine.
Little bit okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
So
understood.
my question was that suppose we are creating a hash map, okay,
Mm-hmm.
with parameters as integer,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm adding a first value
Okay.
as 1 comma 2,
Mm-hmm.
second value as 2 comma in double quote str. So what will the output when I'm compiling this program?
Yeah, so for the second value, it will come some compile time exceptions. While because you have key and value which have integer type, now you are trying to insert as a value as a string type.
Correct.
Yeah, so for that we'll have some compile time exception will be there.
Okay, compile and exception. Okay. Why? What is the reason?
Because integer to a string won't be conformed. Uh, while conversion, we have a pass the value as an integer, but you are passing the as a string.
Okay. Okay. Another question is basically now suppose I am having one project, okay,
Okay.
and I'm preparing a jar of that project, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having one common project and I'm preparing that jar as a common jar, okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In that common jar, in that I'm having one employee class,
Okay.
code group,
Yeah.
okay. And what I am doing basically, I'm populating a list of 10,000 employees
Mhm.
from database. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want to do the sorting
Okay. So,
on employee name.
okay, sure.
So what will the best way I can implement?
Yeah, so while we use sorting, there are two techniques we'll have based on Java 7, we have a comparable and comparator. So that comparator we use for the customized sorting.
Okay.
So while you want a name based
Mm.
sorting, then we will implement the classes as a comparator. And others we have a Java 8 also, so through that also we use comparator based on the stream API. So that stream API will compare two value based on M1
But
of
my class is inside a yeah, but my class is inside a jar file.
okay inside the jar file. Okay,
So
we
how I will do the sorting?
mhm, okay.
Which one I use? Comparator, comparable.
Comparator we will use.
Okay.
Compatible to
How?
use, but if you have a jar file, we can modify the jar file, create a maybe some custom class
How?
or yeah.
Because my class is inside Java. We can't do that.
No, yeah. So in that cases, we'll have an alternative how uh, yeah. So what we will do, others alternative will have a create a custom class, so that custom class and create a jar for that class, like whatever the business logic you want, so that implementation based on the employee, and after that jar file you can add in your pozo, like pom.xml.
Okay.
That also is possible. You understand?
No, basically, answer is not correct actually.
Okay.
Okay. I'll ask you some questions on Spring Boot.
Mhm.
Okay. Now take an example. I'm having a one older application.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is ASP servlet application.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to convert this application to Spring Boot application. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what will be my steps to convert this as a Spring Boot application?
Okay. Uh, if you want to convert as a Spring Boot application, then we need to migrate this application as a Spring Boot. So first of all, you have
Yeah,
to
but
add,
what are the steps I have to follow?
yeah. So first of all, you have to add the dependency in pom.xml, the parent class of
Okay.
Spring Boot
Hmm.
versions and all. And after that,
Okay.
add the respective dependency which will be related for this communications of database, or maybe JPA which you want, so that you have to add. Then the main class which we have, the main class will have a in MVC based. There we can add some of the annotations at the latest Spring Boot application annotation, and add the configuration file like application.yaml file. There you have to add some.
Start your camera.
Sorry.
Can we start your camera?
Yeah, I started already.
No, it's not.
Now it's fine. Are
No.
you, are you able to see me?
One. Yes.
Yeah. So there are 3 to 4 steps while we migrate with the application. One is the pom.xml YAML property file and annotation that we need to configure.
I think because of camera, your voice is not coming clear.
Okay. Else, I think there is some network issue is happening. So else, can we reschedule
So,
for that? Maybe today EOD.
okay, you stop your camera.
Okay. Now it's fine. Hello.
No, voice is not clear actually, Majid.
Okay.
You stop your camera.
Yeah, yeah, I'll stop already.
Okay. So my question was like how we can migrate the
Yeah.
older application to Spring Boot.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So there are three to four technique is there. One is pom.xml and YAML property annotation configurations, you know. So these three way we can migrate the application.
Okay. And what about JSP? What you will do about that JSP?
Yeah, JSP, suppose the application is based on the JSP. So instead of we need to use some of Angular or maybe others uh, uh, other UI like
For Saleh?
Yeah, so for servlet, instead of servlet, we need to migrate the Spring Boot application. So we need to remove this servlet business logic, and that we have to modify these changes based on the Spring Boot business logic. So service file
So
we have to
in which class you will write this business logic?
service class. So the service
Which class?
implementation class, like suppose employee is
Okay.
there, so the employee service implementation class will be there. There we need to change the
Okay.
requirement.
And where you remove this get, post, this method
That
from
will be
servlet?
that will be in the controller class that we have to add in this get post. So whatever the request will come from UI, so that UI, suppose
Mm-hmm.
we have a JSP. Now we want to migrate from JSP to either Angular and all. So that Angular we will create, and then we have a cross join. Through that we have to send this request from Angular to our controller, that is controller as employee controller class. So there we'll have all the HTTP method like get, post, put, deletes and all, and
Okay.
based on that it will go for the particular service. So the service will have a implementation as a service implementation class that will be called, and after that we'll have a repo layer that is called database repository, where we will fetch the details and we'll get the information and show the our to the controller to JSP page. So what type of JSP or maybe
Okay.
Angular page need to be handled, so that response
Okay.
will come as
Uh, can can you explain me like how does the Spring Boot work?
yeah. A Spring Boot will work like once you run this a Spring Boot application, so that main class will be annotated with at the rate a Spring Boot application annotation. So there internally
Okay.
three annotations will work like controller, configuration, auto configuration, and component. So whatever the configurations
Okay.
you have added in this formed application.yaml file, so all the that things will be scanned. Like suppose you have a database configuration or maybe Kafka implementation or any type of
Mm.
integrations will be there, that will become scanned automatically, and that will go for the controller class. So controller class will have annotations like at the rate controller and then request mapping and others. So through that they will check like what type of method need to be hit, like based on the request, if it is coming from get method or maybe post method, so that will be hit. Go for this service, fetch the detail from the database layer. So database layer will operate the query operations, and then that will be transferred to either maybe the UI page or maybe some different microservices and all. So that will be taken care.
And how we can create a war file in Spring Boot?
Yeah, Spring Boot we can create a WAR file either we have two ways. One is java hyphen cbf and then we have a command line. Through that we have create a file, war file. Like suppose if you want you have to mention the file application name, whatever the application, like employee information detail, that you have to mention,
Second way.
and then location where you have to generate the war.
Second way. What
Second,
is the second
yes,
approach?
second way we'll have a this dependency. So pom.xml, you have to add the dependency. Like once your applications will run, so automatically that will be created a war file, and which location. So by default we'll have a temp or C in M2 folder there, that will be generate all the jar file, war file.
Now, suppose I want to add some custom validation. Okay.
Yeah.
So how I can achieve that in Spring Boot application?
Yeah, if you want a custom validation, that we'll have a okay.
Server side custom validation. How I can implement that?
Okay, server side custom validation.
Suppose in UI I have filled email ID and I want to do validate on server side. What logic I will write?
So that also will have a either we can write it with the page validation with have a Angular page validation. There we can check parameters is valid or not, or maybe in Java or maybe a Spring Boot will have a regex, so that regex will check the patterns and all. Either else you can create a util validator, so that util class will have a validator, so that validator we'll check the all the respective information, like users is invalid or not, if users length is greater than or less than is not, started with this special characters, or maybe with capital, numeric, small letters. So that type of validations we have to mention in the validator class, either this way. So we have a multiple way while you can use a validator. So whatever I used, 3 4 ways I used. One is UI based, another is uh, like create a validator class, and other we have a annotation. So while you used annotation, so at the rate valid annotation, so through that it will call the validator class and then check the respective regex and all.
Can you explain like uh, when we have to use the REST APIs versus SOAP APIs? Any difference between these two?
Yeah, there are multiple differences there. And like SOAP is used for the XML or WSDL file call, like related for XSD, WSDLs and all. And REST is used for any type of form, like either JSON form, text form, or image form, any type of form which you want to communicate from one service to another service, or one client to another client. Then we can go for REST. In REST, easily we can test the applications the different form, but SOAP will have a XML based form only. Yeah, so most different.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the main difference.
Okay. Um, okay. So what is the difference between a database related primary key and foreign keys?
Yeah, primary key is used for the, suppose if you created a single table, and in that will be unique ID. That is called primary key. So suppose you have a ID as a employee ID 1 2 3 4 5. That's a primary key. But if you want to insert other
Okay.
table is a department, so every employee will work in the particular department. So in the department table also will have a department ID, that is called primary key. But how this will be linked? So employee table, employee ID should be department table as a foreign key. So through that we can map the data from employee department table to department table. So here in department table we'll have a department as a ID primary key, but employee table ID will work in as a foreign key in that.
Okay. Now, when to use the store procedure and when to use a function, how we can decide?
Sorry, which feature?
When we have to see now based on the scenario,
Mhm.
okay, we have to decide whether we have to use the procedure
Mhm.
or whether we have to use a function. So can you tell me the example
Yeah, so
where you will use the functions and where you use the procedure?
functions is used while this all is used for like automated, like you have a bulk of data which need to be modified, so or maybe runtime data if you want to modify, then in that cases we use a function or procedure. So function is used like suppose
Okay.
if you want a return data, so that return type you want some of the return validations or maybe some return outputs which will be required, in that cases we use a function. And store procedures want we return anything that will be execute the process. So we can create uh, procedures, we can execute the processor and all. So that is a part of
Yes.
PLCQs where we have to execute.
Okay. And procedure.
Procedures will,
Your voice was
yeah,
your
procedures
voice was breaking.
now is fine.
No, it's
Yeah, so procedures is used mostly like to execute the process, but that will not return anything. But functions will return. So mostly all the difference is same, but there is a main difference is return. So procedure won't return anything.
okay. Uh, now suppose
Mm-hmm.
I want to add some logic.
Okay.
The table should not allow a duplicate value. What I have to do?
Okay. So table should not allow duplicate value. So in that cases, you can make it as a unique data, so that unique data like primary key, foreign
Uh,
key is there, but that
okay.
yeah. So while you created a table in DTO classes, or
Mm.
there you have to mention as a ID unique. So unique will be there, so won't we create any duplicate, like suppose you have a department ID or maybe employee ID, so there you have to annotate it with the unique.
Okay. Amarshit, I'm done with my interview. Do you have any question?
uh, no, I think I'm good.
Okay. So I'll submit feedback to HR. Based on that, they will get back to you.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you. Thank
you.
you. Nice talking to you.